Hey guys, KT's Retro Workshop. Today, we're working on a Quadra 700. It's got some stuff all over it. It came from a school district at one point, and it used to be a file server, which is an interesting thing for it to be doing since it has no internal hard drive. But, I had picked up an SGI Indigo not too long ago, and, well, this came up, and I decided to get it. We'll do a Jurassic Park build or something for Retro Computer Meet or VCF or something like that. I don't know. First things first, the power supply needs a recap. And all the caps that I need to do that have come in, so I'm going to do that real quick off camera because it's boring, and we'll continue. Alright, this is our Quadra 700 on the inside. The drive sled typically goes here, but I took it out so that we can look at the board better, and the power supply typically goes here. Speaking of, definitely needed a recap. These Aztec power supplies, the Pizza Box Max have them, and they all need recapped. This desperately needed a recap too. I didn't even fire this machine up, and I recapped this. Got the fishy smell on almost every cap that I desoldered, and the ESR meter at my bench. These all look terrible. Even the bulk input caps, which don't typically fail on most things I find, which is interesting, even those were bad in here. So this has been totally redone. New REFA caps even, all 4 of them have been replaced, so I don't have to worry about that blowing up on me. Fingers crossed, right? Knock on wood, knock on my head, whatever. So, this is the Quadra 700 on the inside. It's fairly easy to work on. This, I didn't have to pull out a single screwdriver to get it to this point. The processor right here, what we're going to do today is we're going to clock chip this. So I'm going to replace this with a 33 megahertz module, and then we're going to swap this 50 megahertz oscillator out for a 66. And that is going to give us a 33 megahertz system. 50% bump, bam, right off the bat. This you can see here the SCSI Terminator board here. This machine never had a hard drive in it. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that earlier, and I don't think I'm going to put one in it. I have the cable for power and everything, but I think I want to leave it kind of as it was. And I'm going to use this external Pi SCSI that I 3D printed a long time ago. It's been in the background of like 6 videos just sitting over here doing nothing. So we're going to give this something to do now. And it's going to go run this guy. It makes it so much easier to connect it to, say, the internet, to upload ISOs, hard drive images, anything that we want. This makes it super easy, and I'll show you some of that in a bit. As far as upgrades go, the only thing I really have today is clock chipping and a RAM upgrade. VRAM I'm working on. I'm reverse engineering the 256K chips for the video RAM, and I have a couple of boards that I'm going to scavenge video RAM from to make those happen, but that's another video. In this one, we're just doing system memory, basically. And I'd like to just get on a little soapbox here about how awesome the retro community is. Building this machine 10 years ago would have required finding 16 megabyte 30-pin SIMs, which aren't all that common, because maxing out a machine with these back in their day would have almost doubled the cost of these computers. RAM was not cheap, so that's hard to find. And Memory Masters, you know, like I said, for $50 you could get a 64 meg upgrade for it. That's easy. That's cool. But today, we didn't have to do that. We can just build them, like I did these in the office here. Got some memory modules here that weren't being used. Scavenge the chips off, throw them on here. Now they can go in here. Done. So cool. I didn't even design these. Bits and bolts a fellow YouTuber in the retro community designed these, and I'll link to his video below. He designed these, had them made, and these Gerber files are uploaded to the PCBWay shared projects folder, or system, or whatever it's called. And you just order it. You go on there, you choose the file, you pick the color and the quantity you want. They do have a limitation of 5 for your ordering, so I ordered 20 because that allows me to do 5 sets of 4, and I don't have any orphaned boards, unless you just want an orphaned board. So, yeah, I can build up 20 of these modules and have over 100 megs of Sims just ready to go into machines whenever I want. I don't have to design any of it. I don't have to etch any of this stuff at home, and I'm no stranger to that, okay? 10 years ago, those places didn't really exist like PCBWay does and stuff now, and some of the others that are out there. They didn't exist. So when I wanted to make an amplifier to go in, just something to listen to some headphones at work or whatever, I had to put my own silkscreen on here if I wanted to have it. I had to put my own solder mask on here if I wanted that, on top of designing toner transfer, blah, 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 all of that. It gets pretty complicated. This is fun. I do like doing this, and I do still do this. Not typically for finished stuff. This is a monoblock I designed. I don't want 5 of these because I don't know if it actually is working right. And I want to be able to tweak it and tweak the design and stuff before I actually make it. So I do still do a lot of home PCB etching. But, man, being able to just order double 4-layer boards or whatever online like that is just completely insane. Add to that 3D printing, so I can just grab the files and make this at home. Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. I will say, though, be careful when it comes to the PCBWay shared projects section, because it is very simple to order stuff on there. And you might end up with a bunch of PCBs that you haven't exactly done anything with. It happens. In the retro community, finding computers and such can be a difficult task depending on where you are. So when something comes up, our first instinct is to buy it, especially if it's a good price. And only years later, when we haven't gotten to it, Performa 200 that I have around here, do we realize that we don't use it or need it or anything, and so we will typically either continue hoarding it for another 20 years, or we move it out to make room, out with the old in with the new, which is what I'm currently in the mode of trying to do. So I am speaking from experience on this. I wouldn't have had a pile of empty boards to show you if I wasn't speaking from experience on that, would I? And that's only the top of the PCB pile. We will not get into that today. So let's get this guy upgraded. Right. What we're going to do first is we're going to do our clock mod. Now, this system derives its CPU clock by this crystal right here. This is a 50 megahertz crystal. This signal is fed into the CPU, it's divided by 2, and we end up with a 25 megahertz processor clock. So, speeding the system up these days is as simple as just swapping out this crystal. Now, Mac is a little weird about stuff. It's got a GSALT ID, which basically identifies what the system is. And it will pick that ID based on what the system kind of loadout, if you will, is when it boots up. So it'll see a Quadra 700 when it boots up with this clock, but when we up it to 33 megahertz, there isn't an ID that matches the database. There is no 33 megahertz Quadra 700 available. So we can wind up with compatibility issues and stuff sometimes, even on installation of system software. So to get around some of this stuff and to make it just easier to mess with in the future, I'm actually going to put in a socket where the crystal goes. So I can easily pull it and put a new crystal in if I want to mess with something. This involves upgrades in the future, troubleshooting, anything like that. So these sockets are super easy and cheap to find, and might as well just do it. Not that getting the motherboard out is difficult. This system is actually completely screwless. So I've been able to get the motherboard out of this computer without having to touch anything. So I'm going to get that socket put in. Alright, we want to clean this up a little bit. Now that everything inside's working fine, well, sort of. I haven't actually booted it up yet, but I did plug it in, and I got a bong and everything, so we're going to assume we're okay here for now. We got some stickers and stuff on the front. This one just has a number on it. Well, and that came off easy, we don't need that. Quadra 700 gives the model. Yeah, we don't need that either. Let's remove that. Just clean this guy up a little bit. Now, school district's ID sticker. I might leave that for now. See if I can clean up above the tape or whatever and make that look a little nicer. The top of this case is interesting. So this is the job it used to have. Let me put some under here. What do I have there? Whatever. Put its hard drive into there. So this is its old job. This turn the file server off. Tells you how to do it. Turn monitor off. Only monitor. And there's a $2 price tag here. At some point, this machine was on sale for $2 freaking. Incredible. Incredible where we are. But, hey, we get to do stuff like this. So, you know, who can argue too much with it? So this is the job it used to have. This used to be a file server, which means it was run with an external SCSI drive, I'm assuming. Since all indications are it didn't have an internal drive. So we're going to go with that. Yeah, turn monitor off only. At the bottom here, looks like it ran Oracle server. Even has the password on there. Nice. Very, very secure. Very secure. But, yeah, it didn't have too much dust in it, so I don't know how long it actually ran as a server. But, I think we might be ready to throw some RAM in here, get an image on our hard drive, and boot the pair up. So our benchmarks are in. 25 megahertz to 33 megahertz is a roughly 30% bump in clock speed, and it shows right here. I intentionally set the stock system as the 100% to kind of showcase this. We have 130% for the 33 megahertz here, 130% here. We only got a 20% bump on the disk performance, but there's a lot more that goes into that. And we very well could be hitting the limit of the Blue SCSI as far as speed and what we can really get out of it. And here another 30% in the graphics benchmark. Now something that I had looked at previously, and it kind of bothered me, and I think we'd mentioned it in our video about the Power Mystic Color Classic, was the disk performance was so terrible. But on this system, we are actually beating the 6100. On the Power Mystic, the 6100 being set to the 100% system actually had us at 16%. So we were way down here. But this system's way up here. So, I won't do it in this video, but I do want to take a look at the Power Mystic disk performance and see if we can come up with a reason why we would have 10% of the disk transfer rate in that machine versus this one. Because let me tell you, when this guy is booting up, it is fast. Like, real fast. I've been using these, Color Classics for so long, and I had just gotten used to it, I guess. I've never had a workstation class machine here in the workshop of the 040 class. And, whew, man, it is quick. And there she is. This Quadra 700 is a new member of a evolving collection. The black and white Compact Max, I realized I never turned them on. So, this guy is going to replace one of those, and that's how it is. But the hard disk mystery on this will be an interesting one to solve, in addition to another upgrade that I managed to pick up for this guy because his video's taken so long to get out. And yeah, it should be a pretty interesting mystery to solve. Get some comparisons between these two systems. That upgrade should be pretty fun too. And, you know, like I mentioned earlier, build your own RAM chips if you have the time. My little cheap hot air gun is right here on your screen. A little 858D controlled temperature hot air. It lets me do all this stuff. Remove the chips, put them on there. I can't argue with it. That tool maybe was $50, but I've also had it quite a few years, so they may not be $50 anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, all kinds of cool things. Turned out one of my problems was that I needed to reflash the Pi Pico on here, so if you're having trouble with one of these, make sure you do that. These Blue SCSI version 2s are so cool. So cool. The CD changer function on here with the program that runs on the computer, real nice. Being able to just throw a hard drive image on there, man, can't beat it. The Pi SCSI is the one I really want to use with this machine. Hopefully by the next video I'll have whatever's ailing this thing fixed. But, yeah, look, it's got a matching case now, and so annoying. But I'm sure it's my user error. I'm not that smart when it comes to software sometimes. So, but all that being said, have a wonderful day, a happy new year, and I'll see you in the next one.